In 2025, casino gambling no longer looks dangerous. It looks comfortable, clean, modern. But behind the screens, lights, and rewards, something has changed. You are no longer just playing a game. You are interacting with a system that studies you, adapts to you, and quietly reshapes your behavior while you believe nothing unusual is happening. Most players still think gambling is about luck, about chance, about good days and bad days. But in 2025, those ideas are outdated. The reality behind modern casinos is far more calculated, far more advanced, and far more personal than most people realize. The system doesn't simply wait for results. It predicts reactions. It reads hesitation. It learns patterns. And the longer you play, the more accurate it becomes. Before we go any further, if this kind of content helps you see things differently, support the channel with a like and subscribe. It helps more people see content like this and keeps this channel going. Tonight, you're about to see something different. Not a list of machines. Not secret slots. Not lucky numbers. But the structure behind it all. The invisible design choices and psychological systems that determine how long you stay, how much you risk, and how often you return. These are not rumors. These are not opinions. These are the 7 traps that define casino gambling in 2025. And once you understand them, you'll never walk into a casino the same way again. Trap number 1, the behavior algorithm. In 2025, casinos no longer treat players as customers. They treat them as systems to be analyzed, predicted, and optimized. From the moment you place your first bet, you begin creating a digital version of yourself inside the casino's network. That profile grows with every click, every pause, and every emotional reaction you show without realizing it. You are no longer just playing a machine. You are interacting with a system that is quietly building a behavioral map of who you are under pressure. This changes the entire nature of the experience. You are no longer playing inside a fixed environment with static rules. Instead, the environment itself bends around you. The pace of the game shifts. The emotional rhythm adjusts. The delivery of rewards subtly changes. You never receive a message explaining that your experience is being modified, but you feel it without understanding it. The machine seems to respond to your mood, your energy, and your decisions in ways that feel strangely personal. Casinos in 2025 are not designed for equal experiences. They are designed for effective ones. Each player is handled differently based on what keeps them engaged the longest. Some players are comforted with frequent small wins that create a sense of safety. Others are driven by dry spells broken by dramatic emotional rewards that create obsession. The algorithm does not care how entertained you are. It only tracks how connected you become. Engagement is the goal, not enjoyment. A win that comes too early feels meaningless. A win that comes too late causes walking away. The algorithm works inside that narrow emotional corridor between satisfaction and frustration. It stretches anticipation without allowing relief. It feeds hope without fulfilling it. The result is a state where you are mentally active but emotionally unresolved, which keeps you returning to finish something that was never meant to be finished. In the past, casinos relied on math to keep players inside. In 2025, they rely on psychology. Money is no longer the primary measurement of success. Time is. The longer you stay, the more the system understands you. The more it understands you, the easier it becomes to guide your decisions without you ever noticing. Profit is now a delayed outcome, not the immediate focus. Over time, this shapes how you think in ways you won't recognize as manipulation. You begin to sense patterns where none exist. You form personal beliefs about when a win is due. You make decisions based on emotion rather than logic while believing you are being strategic. These thoughts do not arrive by accident. They form through exposure. Your brain adjusts to the environment the same way skin adjusts to sunlight. Gradually. Quietly. Permanently. What makes this especially dangerous is how natural it feels. When control is applied slowly, it does not feel like control. It feels like habit. You believe your style of play reflects your personality. You believe your impulses belong to you. You believe your confidence and hesitation come from instinct. But the system has already mapped when you are calm, when you are anxious, and when you are near the point of quitting. And just as you reach that internal edge, something changes inside the game. A bonus suddenly appears. A pattern breaks. A loss streak ends without warning. Not to reward you, but to reset you emotionally. Not to help you, but to keep you inside the experience a little longer. In 2025, the real power of the casino is not in deciding who wins or loses. The real power is in deciding when you feel hopeful, when you feel desperate, and when you feel confident. Once a system controls the rhythm of your emotions, it controls the direction of your behavior. And once your behavior becomes predictable, choice becomes optional. By the time you sense something is wrong, the system already knows everything it needs. It does not need to beat you. It only needs to pace you. And when your emotions move at the machine's speed instead of your own, walking away begins to feel unnatural. You do not leave the system. The system decides when you stop noticing that you are inside it. Trap number 2, the near-win effect. One of the most powerful psychological tools used by casinos in 2025 is not the loss itself, but the sensation of almost winning. When two jackpot symbols line up and the third one slides past by a fraction, when a bonus round nearly triggers, or when a payout meter climbs and stops just short, something deeper than disappointment takes place. These moments are engineered experiences, not accidents hidden inside randomness. The almost win is one of the most carefully constructed emotional products in the entire casino ecosystem. Near wins affect the brain differently than ordinary losses. A clear loss sends a message of failure. A near win sends a message of progress. Emotionally, they produce opposite results. One discourages. The other energizes. Instead of feeling pushed away, you feel pulled forward. Instead of thinking that the game is over, you feel that something meaningful is about to happen. And that feeling becomes stronger than any real reward the machine could offer. Modern slot machines are designed to make near wins feel authentic and dramatic. The screen slows down just enough for anticipation to build. The lights intensify. The sound stretches across the moment. Everything invites you to believe the result is about to change your situation. And when it doesn't, the emotional result is not acceptance. It is tension. Your brain is left in a state that feels unresolved, like a story that paused mid-sentence. Over time, this changes how players interpret results. Instead of measuring losses as losses, the mind starts measuring distance. It no longer feels like you are losing repeatedly. It feels like you are getting closer. And when you believe you are getting closer, quitting feels irrational. Walking away does not feel safe. It feels premature, as if you're abandoning something that was in progress even though nothing tangible ever began. This is how motivation becomes distorted. Near wins create the illusion that effort and outcome are linked, that persistence should logically produce success, and that patience must be rewarded eventually. The machine quietly teaches players to confuse probability with progress. What feels like skill or timing is nothing more than visual arithmetic dressed as destiny. Near wins also create a strange emotional attachment. You are no longer simply playing a game. You are waiting for a story to resolve. Each almost win becomes part of a personal narrative where victory feels delayed but inevitable. And human beings hate unfinished stories more than they hate bad endings. The need for resolution is stronger than the desire for reward. In 2025, casinos do not sell excitement. They sell hope. Hope is cheaper than payouts and stronger than luck. Luck disappears the moment it happens. Hope survives every loss. It stays with you in the car ride home. It follows you into the next session. It whispers that something was building and that you left just a little too early. When players finally stand up and walk away, they do not feel defeated. They feel incomplete. They leave with the sensation that the game was about to turn, that momentum was rising, and that time ran out just before it mattered. That feeling is not random. It is deliberate. Trap number 3, micro-wins and emotional currency. In 2025, casinos rely far less on massive jackpots and far more on something quieter but far more dependable, micro-wins. These are constant, low-value payouts that arrive just often enough to feel reassuring but never often enough to change your position. A return that barely covers a fraction of your last bet is still celebrated as a win. The screen lights up. The sound swells. The animation explodes. And your brain reacts as if something meaningful has just happened, even when your balance continues to move in the opposite direction. From a neurological point of view, your brain does not evaluate money, it evaluates stimulation. It responds to movement, color, anticipation, and sound far faster than it responds to logic or long-term consequences. Casinos exploit this gap. They wrap losses in celebration and present them as achievement. Once that association forms, the emotional response replaces the financial one. You stop feeling poorer. You start feeling rewarded. This is how losses are transformed into entertainment. When numbers decrease silently in the background while emotion increases in the foreground, your attention follows the emotion. Where your attention goes, awareness disappears. Over time, micro-wins train your mind not to notice what is being taken but to focus on what is being felt. The system does not hide the damage. It drowns it out. This is why micro-wins are more dangerous than outright losses. Clear loss produces discomfort. Discomfort produces reflection. Reflection produces stopping. Micro-wins interrupt that chain. They soften emotional impact. They delay accountability. They give your brain pause without giving your body a reason to leave. Instead of confronting loss, you experience relief. Instead of noticing decline, you experience excitement. Instead of walking away, you continue. In this way, micro-wins become emotional anesthetics. They keep you numb while the financial truth quietly unfolds. Your mind stays comfortable long enough for your account to change in ways you don't feel in real time. By the time you notice, the damage isn't dramatic, it is cumulative. Emotional currency works because it trades in sensations, not realities. You are not paying for entertainment. You are paying for emotional regulation. The casino becomes a place where boredom disappears, stress dissolves, and silence is replaced by stimulation. And stimulation becomes more valuable than money because it arrives instantly. Over time, your standards shift. You no longer measure success by profit. You measure it by whether the session felt alive. The goal stops being winning and starts being feeling something again. And the casino is always ready to sell you feeling. This is how dependency forms quietly. Not through despair. Through comfort. Modern casinos design sessions to avoid emotional withdrawal. You are rarely allowed to feel empty. The lights never fade completely. The sounds never go silent. The interface never stops breathing. And when a system refuses to give you silence, it refuses to give you space to think. Because thinking would reveal the truth. When emotion fades, math appears. And math has no mercy. So the system replaces calculation with celebration and loss with theater. It teaches you to associate sound with success even when exit totals disagree. And once emotion becomes the main reward, the casino no longer needs to give you money. Trap number 4, the recovery loop. In 2025, one of the strongest forces keeping players inside the casino is not excitement, entertainment, or even hope. It is the desire to recover. The moment a loss happens, the emotional goal of the session changes. What started as optional suddenly feels necessary. You are no longer playing to enjoy the experience, you are playing to repair something that feels broken. As soon as money disappears, your brain reframes the situation. The session stops being recreational and becomes corrective. You are no longer asking whether you should continue, you are asking when it will turn around. The idea of simply leaving feels unfinished, unfair, and unacceptable. The system has quietly shifted your focus from choice to obligation, from curiosity to urgency. Once that internal shift happens, rational thinking weakens. Risks feel smaller than they actually are. Bets feel justified by past losses rather than future outcomes. Each spin begins to feel less like a gamble and more like a corrective action, as if pressing the button again might fix what already happened. The mind invents stories about one good moment solving everything, even when logic knows that one spin cannot reverse thousands of previous ones. The longer you chase recovery, the heavier the damage feels. Loss does not remain a number on a screen. It becomes emotional weight. You carry it in your chest. You feel it in every hesitation and every sudden increase in your bet size. And as that weight grows, the idea of walking away feels more painful than staying. Leaving would mean admitting that the loss is real. Staying gives you the illusion that it is temporary. This is where the loop becomes complete. The fear of accepting loss becomes stronger than the fear of losing more. And that is when control disappears. The system understands this completely. It does not fight your frustration, it waits for it to sharpen. As your emotional state shifts, the algorithm reads it through your behavior. Your decisions accelerate. Your pauses shorten. Your bets become reactive instead of deliberate. The machine does not need to provoke you. It simply remains available, because availability is exploitation when someone is desperate for relief. In this state, players are no longer chasing money. They are chasing emotional resolution. They want the pressure inside their chest to disappear. They want the noise in their head to go quiet. They want the session to end on something that feels like redemption. The casino quietly positions itself as the only place where that redemption might occur, even though it created the tension in the first place. Modern casinos are built around this loop. They do not frame betting as danger. They frame it as repair. The system gently suggests that the solution to loss is more play, that staying is productive, that quitting is surrender. And once your mind accepts that story, the trap seals itself without making a sound. The most dangerous moment in gambling is not when you are losing heavily. It is when you are losing just enough to believe you can still fix it. As long as recovery feels possible, walking away feels like failure. And as long as walking away feels like failure, the loop continues quietly, endlessly, and without mercy. Trap number 5, Data Profiling and Digital Shadows. In 2025, every player carries an invisible companion into the casino. It is not a person. It is a data profile. And it follows you everywhere. Whether you play online, use a player's card, connect to Wi-Fi, or log in through a mobile app, pieces of your behavior are being collected, assembled, and remembered. While you see lights and reels, the system sees patterns and probabilities. You are not just spinning a machine. You are feeding a database. Each session adds detail to your digital shadow. How long you play. How much you bet. How often you stop. How quickly you return. Which games you choose. Which bonuses you ignore. These details are stored, compared, and analyzed. Over time, the system begins to recognize shapes in your habits. Not identities. Tendencies. And tendencies are far more valuable than personal information. Casinos in 2025 do not need to know your name. They need to know your triggers. They track what excites you, what frustrates you, and what brings you back after a loss. This is not surveillance in the traditional sense. It is emotional mapping. A study of how you react under uncertainty, under pressure, and under reward. As this profile grows, the experience changes in subtle ways. The offers you receive are timed precisely. The bonuses appear when you are closest to quitting. The invitations arrive when your interest begins to cool. You do not experience more generosity. You experience better targeting. Everything is delivered not when it benefits you, but when it benefits the system. What makes this especially powerful is that you never see the profile being updated. You never feel the moment your behavior is stored. You only feel the effects. A promotion arrives at the exact moment doubt sets in. A reward appears after fatigue. A new feature is revealed just as boredom creeps close. And it feels like coincidence. It is not. This digital shadow follows you beyond individual sessions. It influences what games are shown first. What offers are hidden. What options appear more attractive. Even layout and color schemes can shift based on behavioral history. The system does not merely observe. It adapts. And adaptation creates familiarity. Familiarity feels safe. Safety makes you stay. The danger is not that data is collected. The danger is how effectively it is used. When a system knows when you are most vulnerable, it does not have to pressure you. It only has to wait. Unlike humans, algorithms are patient. They never rush. They never forget. They never lose interest. In older casinos, influence ended when you walked out the door. In 2025, it continues quietly in the background. Notifications, emails, personalized offers, and reminders rebuild the emotional connection long after the machines are out of sight. The casino is no longer a place you go. It is a presence that returns when it chooses. Trap number 6, the absence of a stop line. In 2025, casinos do not rely on excitement or luck to keep players inside. They rely on something quieter but far more effective: continuity without closure. There is no natural signal to stop, no emotional checkpoint, no visual or psychological finish line. The experience does not conclude in a recognizable way. It simply continues, one moment blending into the next until time starts to lose its shape. Modern casino systems are deliberately built without endings. There is no true last screen, no calming descent, no sense of completion. Older design depended on finality to give the mind space to breathe and process. Today, that breathing room no longer exists. The transition from one action to the next is seamless, immediate, and coldly efficient. Your attention is never released. It is simply handed from one prompt to another. This absence of an ending changes behavior more deeply than most players realize. When an activity has no conclusion, the brain cannot register emotional completion. It remains mentally open, waiting for something that never arrives. Disengaging feels wrong, not because you want to continue, but because nothing ever clearly ended. Walking away feels like interrupting a process rather than finishing one. In 2025, casinos design flow, not games. Each event dissolves into the next before reflection has time to form. The result is constant psychological momentum. One screen erases another. One result invites another. There is no pause long enough for thought or distance. The system does not ask if you wish to continue. It assumes you already have. Over time, this creates exhaustion that goes unnoticed. Your body grows tired without sending warning signals. Your sense of time dulls. Hours pass without memory. You feel constant motion but no movement. The longer you remain in that environment, the more difficult it becomes to remember what it feels like to stop. The mind grows accustomed to stimulation the same way ears adjust to noise. This is why exit options feel weak. They were never meant to be strong. They exist as decoration, not interruption. Warnings appear briefly and politely, as if apologizing for asking you to think. After they disappear, the experience resumes exactly as it was. The system removes every emotional reason to disengage and replaces them with invitations to remain. When players finally do walk away, it does not feel like completion. It feels like leaving something still running in the background. Like shutting a door on a noise that continues on the other side. The game does not dissolve in the mind when you leave it. It waits. And that is the real design of the modern casino. It does not need walls, threats, or control to keep you inside. It keeps you by never giving your mind a clean moment to leave. Instead of trapping you physically, the system traps your sense of time, attention, and emotional rhythm until stopping feels unnatural and staying feels ordinary. When everything around you is built to move forward, pausing begins to feel wrong. Reflection becomes uncomfortable. Silence feels empty. Without realizing it, your attention becomes the most valuable thing you give away. And when no moment is designed for you to stop, stopping becomes something you must create by force of will alone. This is how the casino truly wins in 2025. Not by locking the exits, but by making them feel unnecessary. Not by blocking your path outward, but by flooding your path forward. You are not held in place. You are carried along. And by the time you finally decide to leave, it does not feel like finishing a session. It feels like breaking away.